hate directed towards myself was something so prominent. It was almost like it was just pure self-hate for the first few decades of my life, and perhaps you can relate, right? It was only when I started therapy for my complex PTSD, when I was in a real crisis, that I kind of looked at this, and the therapist trying to really hard to get me to be a little bit kinder towards myself, a little bit more self-accepting, less judging and less critical, and I did everything that I could to work against it, avoid it, resist it, argue against it, and yeah, that has been something very sticky on this journey, right? While that self-hate no longer is there, and I guess once you kind of awaken, or that sense of your true nature, that hating yourself no longer makes sense. The same as loving yourself makes no sense. Paradoxically, right? It has to be both, right? In one way, it's just one. It's one. It's the pendulum. It flips one way or to the other. So why I thought of talking about it again is because something happened a couple of days ago where I was going to a coffee shop, and I was craving sugar and I wanted a cake, and even going there I thought, why? I don't need a cake, right? Or there was no particular reason, and I had this inner argument that there shouldn't be a reason, right? You don't need a reason to reward yourself in that way. But isn't it peculiar that in our society, for a lot of people, when we giving ourselves a treat, when we're rewarding ourselves, and even gifting other people, right? When it's someone's birthday or things like that, that the things we give, they're often not that good for ourselves or our body, right? Alcohol, or like wine, the chocolates, the birthday cakes, and all these kind of things that we have as treats, as a reward. So on the way there, I was battling in my mind, right, or thinking in my mind, and that, where did this come from? How did we ever come to a state where we believe, or this became a thing, that a treat or a reward is something like chocolate or cake that is actually not so good for my body? And if I do that, does that then also mean that I don't love my body, that I don't take care of my body, and those kind of things, right? To really look into those underlying beliefs that are there. Because for myself, and you can tell me, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts about that are as well, because I think in the comments, the more you guys are sharing, and you're putting things in your words, it might resonate more. Your words might resonate more with people than even mine, right? So we're all helping each other on this journey. But that self-hate theme that keeps resurfacing, or kept resurfacing over and over and over, right? Well, this time it was only very subtle, because I was kind of investigating, why am I seeing a cake as a treat, a reward for myself, when this is actually not good for my body. And it has a real twist to it too, that I will get to in a moment. or that particular incident, right? So why do I do that? And where does the hate, does that actually mean that I hate myself? Could it mean anything about me? Or is that the piece of cake is bad for my body also just a belief? Right? I don't know, right? To explore that. But what happened for me on that day wasn't just that contemplation. When I actually got there and the cake, and I had the cake, the very first bite of it that I had, there was this no, like a don't eat, that's not good kind of. There's an intuitive kind of thing, right? Don't have it. There was nothing wrong with the cake. It didn't taste off, it didn't smell, or any of that. It was perhaps not the freshest. You could tell it had a little bit of a fridge taste, but I overrid it. I ate the cake anyway. I ate the whole cake, not just a little bit. I ate the whole cake. It wasn't until a few hours later that my stomach started cramping. I got really sore and I got sick. I was vomiting. It was really bad. That I look back at this again, it's like, oh wow. What happened there? Right. I actually had that gut feeling something's not right here. And I overridden it. I was questioning, is this self-hate? Was I trying to hurt myself in that thing? And it's like, no, it's not that. It's not, I like I said, there is no, that's not, doesn't make sense. That wasn't it. And as I kept exploring, for me, there was an underlying belief still there. That's what I invite you to do too for yourself. Anything that keeps looping, have a look. What kind of belief is under there? Underneath that, what would have happened if I didn't finish the cake? Why did my body just keep eating that cake anyway? In my case, there was an underlying belief that food must not be wasted. You see? I know exactly where I come from. Like I am born in 75 in Austria. So all my grandparents, great-grandparents, all the poverty they lived through the wars and things like that, that was their mentality. Food is not to be wasted, right? So I knew where this came from. And I can totally understand. But in that moment, I could also see what that belief does to this body, right? So that's when we revisit those kind of things, right? They're very different when we're going through a mental health crisis versus after. Because I know a lot of you who listen to my videos, you've already had like years of therapy and you're well advanced and you're more curious about your true nature. There is always subtle beliefs still operating that get that body to move out of habits, right? This is a 50-year-old or more than 50-year-old habit, right? To finish the plate. And I never investigated this. I always do that, right? It's just still there, that whatever's on the plate I finish, because that was like a rule, and I totally understood where that came from, and I had a lot of respect for that rule, right? That I could see the suffering in my granddad's eyes. I could feel what they've been through. But in that moment, right, when we don't have clarity on those underlying beliefs, when we don't see them, then our body will just move accordingly with those beliefs, whether we're conscious or not, right? So that was just a reason exploration of for myself, right? So I hope you find that helpful I'm always curious to how you go about those kind of things, right? Investigating, exploring, getting curious about what drives certain behaviors and habits, even knowing, you know, in that case, when it was like ending up having like food poisoning or something, right? and not yeah, it's an interesting journey, and holding those things lightly, right? There's no point in beating myself up now. I should have known better, and I, you know, all the work you've done, and all this it's not, it's pointless getting involved in those kind of stories. Let's just be here now. That's the belief. Oh yes, and then we release it. Right? Is this belief serving me right now? No. I know where it came from. I don't need to hold on to it. It's always going to stay there. If I ever wanted to grab onto it again, I can. It's not going to disappear into nothing or vanish for good, right? Just shining a light on those things. Yeah, I think that's enough for now.